Welcome. You've joined the Kubeflow community call for December 17th, 2024. I do want to remind everyone that this call is being recorded and we are governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct. Again, just to review those, demonstrating empathy and kindness towards other people. Being respectful of differing opinions, viewpoints, and experiences, giving it and gracefully accepting constructive feedback, accepting responsibility and apologizing to those affected by our mistakes, and learning from the experience, focusing on what is best, not just for us as individuals, but for the overall community, and using welcoming and inclusive language. So hopefully people will take that to heart during the holiday season and as the year to come. As we move forward, we do have an agenda today. One of the first things on here are in the meeting notes is the release update. I do believe we have folks from release team here. Does anybody want to walk us through kind of where we are with the release and the current status?
Yes, I can do that, Josh.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Thanks everyone for joining the meeting. So for today's release update statuses, yesterday we had officially our last meeting for this year for the release team meeting, and we've been walking through the working group updates. We believe that we're still green on the development phase, but we'll keep tracking every movement from the working groups because some of them didn't show up much progress in the recent weeks. So I'll guess they are just finishing some PR reviews or something. So while we keep tracking their statuses, I'd like to remind that we'll have the next 2 weeks for the end of year holidays, and then we'll go back on January 6th. And that means we'll be 2 weeks away from the feature freeze. So for everyone here who's a working group liaison for the release team, don't forget to let me know about the working group statuses, if there are any blockers, if there's need for volunteering in finishing some development in your respective working groups, and I'll make sure to have this addressed as soon as possible. I guess that's it for now. While we keep tracking those progresses, I'm relying on the release team, the release manager shadows to help me also figure out any other blockers that could block our release and our feature freeze in January 20th. So I guess that's it. Floor is open for any questions, concerns, comments.
Ricardo, do you want anything mentioned to the community on our socials about feature freeze coming up? Do you want me to do a quick post about anything before the end of this week, or do you just want me to wait until when we come back?
Yeah, that would be great.
So do something this week. So if I ping you and just double check with you, put something out before Friday.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, Ricardo, great job by you and everyone else. And question, I think we still don't have a docs lead. I was wondering if there are some type of bite-sized chunks that contributors might be able to think about as we move forward around documentation. So, for example, the working groups probably have release notes that they're going to come out with. And perhaps those release notes need to be reviewed. It perhaps we could ask the liaisons to start to gather, either those release notes and see if we could get users in particular to review, but anybody in general. I'm just trying to figure out how we can spread the load. Taking on the or the documentation management as a whole is a pretty big, but perhaps just reviewing one set of release notes may be an easier thing for people to do.
Right, that's a great question, Josh. Um, so just a little bit of context. We had a docs lead for Kubeflow and 10, but unfortunately he needed to step out from the release team. And according to the handbook, it's now the release manager responsibility to take over the documentation changes. Based on the last discussions I had with the working groups, it looks like the working groups that will need a huge change in the documentation or the training working group and the notebooks, because they are respectively releasing Training Operator 2.0 and Notebooks 2.0. And that leads to a lot of changes in the documentation. So I'm aware that there is, I'm aware of the load of the changes we need for those two working groups. I just don't have it accurately how much changes we need to do. As for the others, I didn't have any updates on what could be some substantial changes we need to do for the respective components. So it would be great having the working group liaisons to track that and taking a look at the release notes and see if there's something that we need to do for updating the documentation. The more hands working on this, the better. I just wondering if we can do this on time for end of this week, because since we had our last release team meeting, probably we'll only start something by end of the next year. So I don't believe this is a problem at all, because docs changes usually starts after the feature freeze. So
Right.
I think we have time to ask the working group liaisons to contribute on this. And also, I'm still waiting on other updates from the notebooks and training working groups on what are the changes they would like to do. I know that there's one change I'm aware that the training working group would like to do. They want to follow the same format that we do for the pipelines recently, having the view on docs as not deprecated, I forgot the name for this, but separating the V2 from the V1 docs and make V2 docs the default one. So probably this is one of the work I know that we need to do. Probably Helber will help me in this, because he did that for pipelines. So I'll try to follow the same pattern for the training working group as well. Maybe for notebooks too.
Yeah, I think the way to get people excited would be to ask the working groups to perhaps come to the community meeting and do a short demo or update on the new features, or things that they're going to be talking about. So just keep that in the back of your mind, is that even if we could get an early preview of some of the nice things coming, especially in notebooks and training, we could have set aside some time in the community meeting, I think it, or you know, to kind of get people revved up. And I think that will also help users start to see the new functionality and want to document it, help with the documentation better. I think it's hard when you have new functionality, if you haven't seen it yet, to be able to read the documentation and sometimes understand it if you don't get to see it actually in the UI or in process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it would be great having more demos as well. Let's see if the uh training and notebooks working groups could help us on, I don't know, setting up some demos for next year so people can take a look
Ye-
at the coolest features we'll have for 110.
I'm definitely, yeah, I definitely think it's probably, at least for Notebooks 2.0, it's probably not going to happen straight away. I mean, we'll have something, but we won't have uh, much to show initially because it's a lot of the stuff that's been built is not the UI, and the UI is the thing that people want to see.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I guess if you can make a bite-sized chunk of something, if that doesn't slow you down, Matthew, perhaps that helps us. But just keep it in mind,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we obviously want to advertise our thing, but and also we don't want to I mean, it's just a thing to keep in mind. We also don't want to commit to features that we may end up pulling if we think they don't work or something it goes wrong, you know? Like,
Right. But on the other side, there's nothing better than anxious customer to help you get things done. You know what I'm saying? It's like when people are very interested, it helps motivate people.
absolutely.
All right, well, cool. Keep it in mind if you can figure out some way that works in January. I think the earlier we get that done, the more feedback you get, the more end user input you have, the more contributors we'll get. So, all right, anything else on? Great job, Ricardo and Valentina and everyone who's been, you know, cleaning up some things both on the release and outside. I think it's just fantastic. Anything else on
Thank
the
you.
release? All right, let's move on. Matthew has some items here. Request final KSC decision on the future of Kubeflow Arena.
Yep. It's been a very long time. There's been discussions from years ago and recently, but I think we need to probably set a deadline before we forcibly remove them from the repos, or whether uh we have them formally start a working group if the community wants that as part of Kubeflow. Of course, we do have the trademark issue. If we choose to remove them, they will need to stop using the word Kubeflow. Other than that.
Have we? I don't know if folks from the Arena development
Yeah, they're mostly
have.
based in China from what I can see, and most of them aren't actually official members of the Kubeflow org either. So you can't even assign them to issues and stuff. It's pretty weird. But more than that, they don't come to these meetings because they're wrong time zone. It's all around a pretty weird
So
situation. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know what we. Clearly, the two options need to be. The problem. I would like to avoid doing the first one, but then also if the community just doesn't want that functionality or feature, then the second one is problematic. You know, making an official component out of it. Um.
right.
So we were in a tough position either way. You know, I don't know how valuable the tooling is. Um, if it's valuable, then sure, let's keep it. But we also have to have them play by the rules of the rest of the working groups to try and encourage, you know, maturity. Otherwise, it is a bit of an issue to our, as we talk about later in the meeting, graduation. You know.
Right, we're in this gray zone with them, right?
Yes. Yeah, I
I
mean,
have
like it's
Craig.
it's not even
Yeah,
clear that they're like it's not clear who's even maintaining it. The best outcome, I know it was kind of sounds a bit crazy, but the best outcome is probably for them to stop maintaining it and just abandon it. But unless in the case that we don't want it anymore. But if they choose to want to keep it afterwards, we would need to move their repo as well. So
All right, I'll put this on the list. I don't know if we're having a meeting in the KFC this week, but I'm not sure that we are. But if we are, I'll put this on the list.
yeah, it's just something we need to I'm not saying it needs to happen like immediately. It is over Christmas, but like it looks like they're still committing. I can see that. But it's yeah. All I'm saying is we just need to keep remember about it because we came across an issue from a while ago and we thought we should remember it.
Right. Well, to your point, we've got to have everybody following the process if we're going to go through graduation. So let's get it cleaned up as we move into 2025. Good. Thank you, Matthew. And then you have another item here.
Yeah, just a very basic one. Whenever I'm on LinkedIn, it annoys my OCD so much. The LinkedIn logo for Kubeflow is like aligned incorrectly so that it gets cut off along the top. And I'm just like, can someone who has the ability to change that just download that one there that's centered?
Yeah, we can fix that, Matthew.
Thank you. So I just put a link there for the one that's like a PNG that's pretty high quality and
Yeah,
centered.
we need to change the header anyway, so we need to do both
Oh,
of
I can
those.
give you a horizontal one as well if you want.
No, I want to make it match our Twitter and our Blue Sky
Oh,
and stuff.
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for the actual profile logo, that's the one I'm talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be smaller. So. Cool.
Yes.
Yep, we can work on that.
Okay. All right. That sounds like an achievable goal. Alternating community meetings.
I don't know who asked for this one.
This is me.
Okay.
But actually, Andre started a big thread on this. I don't know if Andre's on.
Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning too.
So are you referring to the going back to the old way of doing things where we go back between time zones, or are you talking about something else, Josh?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's something else. So basically where we have, we were discussing this morning where the community meeting is like one week we're talking about things that aren't code related, about outreach, about new users, how to educate people about what we are, how they can get involved, and like new topics and that sort of stuff. And maybe another week, the meeting would be more code based. So people who aren't necessarily stakeholders in how we tackle a PR or more technical issues, not necessarily code only, but those technical issues we could have that week where that is what we discuss. And maybe like the third week of the month is like where we have demos from working groups or new add-on or components give demos, or even a new distro can give a demo, stuff like that. So we're still working out the details, but where we alternate what is the focus of each meeting, because there's a lot of, we get down in the weeds on things that maybe we shouldn't in this meeting without letting people know we're going to get in the weeds. So we've been discussing that and trying to figure out the best way to make it more welcoming to everyone who joins, because some people are more interested in those technical topics. Other people are more interested in outreach and marketing and how are we going to grow the community and keep everybody interested, and not have everybody being spectators while two people are debating a topic. So that's sort of, what we're kind of talking about, not the time changing, the focus of the meetings alternating between what we focus on. Josh, I sum that up right?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a huge long line of
yeah, it's over 100 replies on that.
So this seemed to be something that struck a nerve with a lot of folks. And I think that we should try to address.
I think
where's the thread? Sorry,
it's in the outreach channel. I think you're in that channel. one of the things that we can do, and I suggested in the meeting between now and the first of the year, because I think this is our last meeting of the year for this, is that we can come up with come up with those agendas, come up with the focus, kind of try it out, see how it works, kind of A/B test it, if you will. But also one of the things that's going to help is if somebody takes lead on publishing an agenda prior to the meeting. We promote it out on all of our socials and Kubeflow Discuss in our Slack channel. And then, we publish notes after the fact. And Josh, you've done a great job over the years doing this. And, as somebody who's done stuff like this for years and years, sometimes, you get a little burnt out on that after a while. And somebody new with new energy, bring, and new ideas bring it in. And so one of the things that we were looking at doing is making sure we publish an agenda before the meeting, and also letting people know what the focus of that meeting will be on early, instead of just a broad, community. And then people get in here and we lose them because, people get into heated debates over very, either a certain PR or whatever. So, Josh, that's sort of what we came to this morning, was just, let's come up with an idea and try it out after the first of the year. Unless you've got something that you think would work better.
I mean, what is the purpose of this meeting? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, it's always been really aimed at a mixture of contributors and users, but its value to the community is definitely on the contributor side.
Right. So
yeah.
I would define this meeting, and this is a suggestion I'm going to put forth, is that this is an informative meeting. This is a summary of everything that goes on across the community. These really high level technical debates that really should be put in, like whatever working group that they're focused on, those stakeholders should be having those meetings at that level, and not, debating it in front of the whole community where people are just sitting by the sidelines. And I think too that this meeting should be where we inform people, we let people, we're pushing information out, where we're telling people, hey, these are the events that are happening. Here's how you can get involved. The working groups are represented, issues are represented, and we make sure that we're very informative on what we want the community to see and do, and how we want people to participate, and be very welcoming in this meeting, so that nobody ever walks away feeling like I just got yelled at, or my idea just got shot down publicly on, this forum and it's recorded, or that somebody jumps down somebody's neck about, well, why are you doing that? And I think that this meeting should be an informative meeting that's an outreach and growth facilitator. And that's how I see it. So I don't know, maybe other people see it differently, but that's when I see community, it's more like a summary call, not a decision call.
I mean, I agree that is something that we should do. I just wonder if there is some value, at least, to having a contributor focused.
Yeah, one of the weeks would be that. One of the weeks would be contributor focused.
Just because also, like, it just becomes a place where it's one of the very small number of places where we do regularly have contributors from multiple working groups meeting together. And so, like, I know that it ends up being problematic, that it is kind of sometimes not a shouting fest, but a disagreement location. There is some value to being like, hey, what is happening with Kubeflow Arena? Just even what just happened, that's what I'm just saying.
Well, exactly. So that's why I'm saying, like, 1 week might be, and we don't know yet, this is just a suggestion. 1 week might be outreach, marketing, that kind of stuff. Another week would be the contributor type stuff, whether that's code or other contributions. The next week might go back to, maybe it's demos and, that sort of presentations. And then the last week would be more contributor stuff, that sort of stuff. So there would be a contributor focus on 1 or 2 of those weeks. So it would still be discussed, but it would be highlighted that this is what's going to be discussed, and this is a more of a contributor focus at this week's meeting. And then we would publish that and let everybody know.
Francisco, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I hear what you're saying, Matt, especially like the ability to facilitate like the cross contributor work, especially at like a reasonable frequency other than like every month or two. I hear how that could be probably too slow of a pace. I think my view is that probably it has more to do with the rank ordering of the discussion, where, you know, if we focus on what Amber's suggesting, like really surfacing up the kind of community, new folks, giving some demos and overviews, and then maybe the latter half we can talk about technical material, time permitting. I think that might be a way to kind of balance both of those things, because I do really agree with Amber that like if we want more people to be involved with Kubeflow, which I think we by and large all do, then we really need to make space for it, encourage it, and make sure that they feel like they can learn more without like getting way too far into any implementation detail. So that's just my thoughts there.
Andre?
I think we proposed this before, yeah, but I think the goal is to, back to your question, Matthew, I think all the discussion between contributors can go towards threads and Slack. There is no need for users and other people to hear these discussions. Especially since we've been in this community for like, 6 to 7 years, I don't think we just need to have face-to-face interaction to discuss these things. I would love, one of the ideas, as Amber mentioned, was to switch these meetings to bi-weekly. Have one meeting for users, have one meeting for office hours. I still think like we should allocate more time, as Amber said, to even the place where new users can ask questions, right? Spend maybe 20 to 25 minutes to not speak about release, not speak about any issues within contributors, just give space to new users, give space to demos, speak about LLM apps, speak what is the value of Kubeflow, speak with like what exciting things we're doing, right? And it definitely should help, more new users to attend those calls.
I have a couple of ideas on the alternative. I agree with a lot of what's said, but I mean, if we had an agenda that was kind of like help wanted, good first issues, and new features from the working group, or a demo, or perhaps an end user success story, along with vendor stories. I think perhaps having a space where vendors can come in and have a discussion for some short period of time. And then, as Andre just said, office hours, where you can come in a very friendly environment and be able to ask complex questions, perhaps, of architecture. But if we had some type of process to try to fill in some of these topics for, we're not going to get one of these for every single one, but I think the rank ordering that Francisco talked about is important. If we don't have a lot of those topics and we still go back to some of the admin stuff at the end because we have to clean up some things at the last 10 minutes of the call, I think that's okay. But I would like to get exciting new topics for end users about workflows and value add upfront. Go ahead, Janu.
Yeah, I just want to add to Josh as well. See, I attended both KubeCon North America and KubeCon India. One thing that I have observed was, there were at least tens of talks in both North America and India who are using Kubeflow in production. The community doesn't know about it, and what I seen was after the talk, everyone was rallying behind the speakers to figure out how they have done and what the best practices are, right? So I definitely see a bigger community who actually wants to be part of it, wants to understand how Kubeflow as ecosystem, as a community, are solving the newer challenges, and especially in the newer ML world, right? But they don't have that kind of an access to understand how we can do that, and we are not doing it. In most of our community talks and even the maintainer tracks, we basically give the final page to the Kubeflow community page, and they come to this meeting. So they need to have access to the crowd in two ways, right? One, they have to be contributor and grow a part of community. The other part is actually purely as a user. So we have to give space to both of these crowds to how they get best out of the Kubeflow community, and over time users will actually contribute back as well, right? And that's what I have seen in last 2 months from all the interactions that I have.
Amber?
Yeah, I wanted to highlight this in the next topic, but Jono, that's exactly why I think that we need to have like webinar Wednesdays where we can highlight these folks and what they're doing, and then have the summary on this call. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Because we're seeing people come out of the woodwork that we had no idea were doing anything with Kubeflow, and it's more than what that many of us thought.
So like I just want, my thought is that I value both of these things. I think we need both. I don't know the best way to have both. Like what I mean by that is a place where the contributors and leads can discuss ideas, and then office hours. But they don't seem largely compatible in one meeting. And also people have to be willing to do the office hours as well. You know, the leads, I mean, the contributors.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just go back to what I think Josh and I had said, which is just, I think it's really just ordering of the meeting. Like if you start with like the community stuff and then leave the latter half towards more of the technical discussions, I think that ends up facilitating a lot more, because the people that are new will, you know, they might listen or whatever, but they might drop off too. And so the latter half can probably be much more technical.
But even then, like, I think there's a category of community issues that are still really not that interesting or useful to the end users, but are still relevant to the community. Like, you know, I mean, the release update is a good example of something that's valuable to both, but stuff like, you know, the arena thing, like that's not technically, like everyone in the community needs to be aware of it, but not.
Why not discuss in Slack? Like, why do we need to use this?
Because the issue is just that some people don't read Slack very much.
No, but I mean, I think contributors should read Slack, right? Like, again, this meeting is recorded, this meeting is published on YouTube, right? This meeting is available for new users, right? And for value that Kubeflow brings to cloud native space, right?
And that's not what we've been using it for in past, but if you want that to be what
Yeah,
it
no,
is,
no. This in 2018, 2019, Jeremy and David, when they host these calls, they kind of like, you know, have many demos if you take a look at the previous, you know, discussions. Like back in those days, like we give time to end users to exciting demos for different projects. And like the meeting was structured differently when, you know, Tea, I think, was also, you know, hosting those calls. I think we just should reiterate what is the purpose of this call, especially for new users, and how to, as Jonas said, give a space for people who use Kubeflow in production to get a connection with contributors, because this is the most important thing from the Kubeflow perspective, right? To have more strong connections with our actual production users.
I mean, as I said, those things are valuable. No, there's no one debating that. I think the question is just that, is there still also value to a place where we can discuss contributor issues in a community setting?
I don't think so. From my perspective, it is not available. From my perspective, this should be whether in Slack or in async meetings that we can set up, and we don't need to record even these things because it is not available for entire community to make those decisions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a foot in both camps. Like, I kind of like the idea of continuing the meeting as it is 1 week, like this, and then having the second meeting being the alternate week meeting being much more focused at how do we help the user, very much user focused. But if we find that we're doing a great job of the user focused stuff, then perhaps it starts to take up more, and just naturally the admin stuff gets pushed to Slack because we all know each other and we can solve problems. But Matthew's points are very valid. A lot of these like website issues and other things, unless you look at them as a group, it's hard to understand what they're actually trying to do and why. And you have to keep this in a continuum about how it interfaces with other things that have done before. So I think there is value in discussing some of the admin stuff. I just think it's dominated this, and you know, the like, look at this meeting so far. We have not talked about one functionality, right? I mean, realistically, we've talked about Arena, but we haven't really talked about, like, here's an end user use case or a new feature. And we're 40 minutes in.
Josh, I agree, and that's why I thought between now and the 7th, you know, we could kind of work it out on Slack. You know, either updating the agenda and really sticking to timelines, or highlighting those alternating weeks, like what week 1 would be versus week 2 versus week 3, you know, like, and figuring that out, you know, asynchronously, and have it ready by the time we come back on the 7th.
Yeah, and maybe there's just different people that lead these different meetings, and so that I can tell you that the prep to get these meetings ready, and then the fact that sometimes you try to show up, and we've all done demos, you know, usually you're doing, it takes a lot of work to coordinate all this and have it work. So I think we should try something simple and then try to improve upon it as we go. But it sounds like there's a lot of energy around this. And Matthew, if you look at the thread, you probably have already. If you haven't, we'll get it on there. I just think there's a tremendous amount of energy around changing this up a bit. So hopefully we can all kind of support what the positive view is on this.
Yeah, I mean, I actually still can't find that thread. Sorry, maybe I'm missing the channel, or
I'll share it with you after the call.
okay, cool. Like, all I'm saying is, like, the reason we had this meeting, I mean, originally, absolutely, there's value to the sharing, but what we did is we tried to keep, when the period when the community was kind of during difficult times, it really just acted as a center point to make sure that there was something happening every week in every working group. You know, that was just kind of like, that's really what this became. The project simply would not have survived without this meeting, I don't think, just because, like, it's.
I agree.
I would disagree.
I think we're past that.
Josh,
I think we're past that point, though.
Just
Yeah,
last
yeah,
statement.
I agree.
I have a different opinion here, Matthew. I think, I mean, we have a really good technical conversation in working group meetings. We have a lot of new users coming in working group training for the last couple of years. And we even have people outside of cloud native ecosystem who decided to give a demo, like Slurm people, right? Or people like from even like outside of cloud native space, like for new algorithms. So it's all about how we structure this call, and I don't think community won't survive if you don't have this meeting.
No, I think you're misunderstanding what I was saying. I was more saying that there was a period where this meeting acted as the only thing that we could guarantee would be happening every week or every other week.
But we've been
that may have
hosting
changed
an
now,
optimal meeting for the last 3 years.
Of course, but there was a period where the project might have split up, and this kept the community as one community. That's all I'm trying to say.
This in the release team meeting. I think the release team meeting actually probably cohesed.
I mean,
I would suggest.
I would suggest what kind of demos we had in our training or group call. If you want to find an examples how we give voice to end users, right?
There is also the other issue with demos, which is that Kubeflow is really a lot of projects. Like we've already said this, right? And so not all users use every component, and so a community meeting that is ambiguously defined may not be that valuable to even users unless they know what kinds of demos are going to be at that meeting.
Exactly. That's why we set the agenda in advance. We publish the agenda. We make sure everybody can see it. That gets back.
That takes work. I totally agree. That just takes work.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's kind of why I was suggesting between now and our meeting on the 7th, we kind of work out that, and we, you know, and it's not going to be pretty at first. It's not going to be perfect at first. We're going to iterate. We're going to see what works and what doesn't, you know, and just everybody kind of leans into it, and we work together to get it right. You know, we're not going to, yeah.
So maybe then we have, maybe at first, just because it's a smaller change, maybe we do it once a month, that we do one of those really organized meetings that we advertise, because once a week or even bi-weekly to advertise is going to be hard, you know.
No, I think it's not only about advertise, it's also about, speaking about exciting features, speaking about LLMs, speaking about the things we're doing around, the cloud native AI space, right? Like, what is the value of Kubeflow for Kubernetes and for CNCF, right?
But what
I
I'm
think
saying is that doesn't need to happen every week. That's a valuable things, but I'm saying, does it really need to be every week?
it can happen every week. Like, go ahead, Francisco.
I think it does. I think like especially if you have new folks, you want to like hammer that message so that it becomes the mind share association, right? That's just my opinion.
And
And
I think this is where marketing and outreach, which somewhere on the agenda, will help with that. That's where that team will really help drive the agenda for this meeting.
And to add, right, we don't know the perfect way to solve it. We just know the gap. So let's reiterate and see if the current solution works or not, right? And we don't need to say that like we have the best solution now.
All right, look, we teed this up. I don't know that we have to fix it right now, but we do need to think about, okay, if we're going to have 1 or 2 meetings that are a little bit different in January, let's start getting topics ready. Let's get people ready to run those meetings. Let's get a process ready. Somebody wants to help volunteer on that, start to think about how you might want to volunteer. And, just because you volunteer for one meeting doesn't mean you have to do every single meeting. But, if you do a good job, you'll get recruited. Anyway, it's an advantage. All right. So, anything else that people wanted to say on this? I mean, I think this has got a lot of momentum, so we should try to do it for 2025. But it's just one person's opinion. Still, how do we want to leave this? What is our?
So, Josh, if anybody wants to help with this, and they're not part of the outreach channel, just let me know and I'll add them and I'll add them to that thread. And then I was going to mock up some things to share with everybody. So if somebody wants to help with that, just ping me on Slack so I can add you. And then the more the merrier, the more people helping. And that also gives somebody a chance to also contribute. And then when elections come around, gives them, contribution time and all that. So yeah, just let me know and we'll get you added.
All right, CNCF checklist.
We could also
Um,
do the elections first. Maybe we should talk about the elections, right? Or
Well, yeah, we can do that real quick. So the testimonial phase ends on Sunday. So get your testimonials in for your candidate or all of them, and then starting Monday, the 23rd, I'll send out voter keys and instructions on how to activate those. I put a list, I opened an issue today for the people I did not have email addresses for, and I've already had people starting to contact me. So take a look at that issue. If you know someone that's on that issue, have them contact me and give me their email address, please. We're not sharing those email addresses. They're just for me to send out the voter keys. And as I get and just like last year, when the voting phase starts, if I don't have your email address, I'm going to post it, tag your GitHub account that I don't have your email. And as I send out the keys, I'll note that I've got the email address and I've sent out the key. But you can, if your name is on that list, please send me your email address.
cool. Thanks for running that, Amber.
Yeah, I like doing that.
And I guess your topic's the next one as well, or is it Josh actually the next one, the graduation?
Well, I think I created that, not the GitHub account, but I created the Google Doc with the list on it. And then I was gonna, after the first of the year, as part of marketing and outreach, share what we still need to do, because I have a document, I guess I need to link back here, of what still needs to be done, when Emily from the security tag did a review of our security procedures, the stuff that she said still had to be done. So I need to, follow up with that. So was going to schedule a meeting for that first full week of January for us to get back on track with that graduation checklist. because there's still a lot to do and we still need a lot of folks. So give people the opportunity to sign up to help with those tasks as well. And I'll get the Google Doc added to the notes as well.
Yeah, the Google Doc looked good. I think there was a security review that we need to go through. So that was what you were talking about there a bit. And I don't know why that concerns me the most, but.
Well, that's probably, so there's two things that are going to be, that we really need to focus on. And that is the best practices badge and that security, making sure we pass the security review. And many thanks to Emily for going through and doing it as a favor to the group. And then we can kind of pick back up and see, you know, what still needs. I need to touch base with Julius and see what has been done, what hasn't been done, and where we still need to go. So I was thinking like on the 7th or 8th, we could have a meeting about the graduation checklist. So if you're interested in that, just, you know, let me know so I can add you. And we can, you know, we can all start meeting on that. And then by the time we have this next meeting, you know, I'll have all the updates that I've been able to get added to the list, have a sign up sheet and all that linked from here, where people can go and help with the graduation checklist.
Thanks, Amber, for this. Please add me.
Okay.
Thanks.
I
Do
was
we have a
gonna add all
tracking
the
issue?
I was gonna add all the KSC members, whether you guys wanted it or not, just so you're aware.
Do we have a tracking actual issue that we have for this, or?
I don't know if I set one up or not. I was just going through the list because it's really long and I need to break it down. I think there was one, but it made it look too simple. So I'll go and review it. And if I need to start another issue, I will. I'll close the first one and start a new one.
And have we floated with the CNCF that they're actually willing to let us graduate in our current state, or with any level of change? You know, like it's also like a question for them as well, right? So
We're not anywhere near ready to graduate yet. We don't have the best practices stuff set up. We don't have the security stuff finished. We're gonna need to go through that list and really take a look at it. We're probably less than 40% ready. You know, when we look at the list.
I mean, I was more saying like, there's even once we're ready, like there's like a political sort of.
Oh yeah. There's a process to follow.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and something came up this week, and I don't want to stir the pot, but I'm going to, since Julius is here. There was a question about rootless operation and configuration. I know, Julius, you've been working on this quite a bit, but I don't know, is that really a requirement for CNCF graduation, or is that just a stretch goal for, does anybody know?
I don't think it was listed as a requirement, but I can double check with the security tag.
I think the security part is easy. What's more interesting is the Istio part. I can't do the security part for the Spark operator myself. I did so mostly already.
We don't have the same for other components like KT for training operator, Julius, today. We discussed this yesterday. So just not sure if this is required for Spark operator.
Yeah, if we want to support it as application in manifest and help people there, because otherwise we'd just say, sorry, this is insecure. I don't recommend it, but you can use it as it's the case now.
Anyway, I mean, I think that question would be for the security reviewers when they approve or reject us for graduation, right? So I guess we should be working with those reviewers to confirm what they actually are expecting.
Right, and we have a list from them because one of their reviewers actually went through our security stuff for us, and so we can start there and pay attention to what they said in their review of our security processes.
Okay,
yeah.
so work to do there. Okay, and I think somehow we're going to need to get bite-sized chunks on this done. You know,
Yep.
a little bit every month would go a long way in the end of 12 months.
I think
and
yeah.
you know, and perhaps we have 2 releases next year. I don't know if we'll get a second release in before the end of the year. It would be great if we did, but I mean, that's obviously we need to think about what's going into 1.10 and what would come after 1.10, because that's really going to help us drive towards some of the CNCF requirements, right? So I just think we have to be conscious of our schedule for next year on this.
Just one thing on this front before we go. I think I discussed this before yesterday, Julius, but I think this should be up to the working group to, if we kind of enforce this policy, not in the manifest repo. Just for FYI, like from my personal perspective, like, I mean, if it is a policy that we want to follow, there should be a kind of cap that we propose to all the components across Kubeflow ecosystem, right?
Yeah,
Just can I
so far no
confirm what
one
you're
from
saying, Andre?
Spark contributed in /manifest. I'm the one who added Spark Operator, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand this, but again, the manifest is just a combination of components, right? It's not like additional features, right? Which means like if there are some requirements that we need to follow, like we need to somehow delegate it to working groups, right? And address it in the working groups components. Because again, I mean, we don't have these requirements today, right? It's a strict requirements to be part of the manifest repo.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we had a policy back in the day that we didn't, except in emergencies, modify other manifests, except we modified them upstream, you know? We tried to do that, meaning from the source repository, because the manifests that live in each source repo. Anyway, do you want to quickly talk about your outreach thing, Amber?
Well, a lot of people have mentioned they want to participate in the marketing and the outreach efforts for Kubeflow. So I've put a meeting poll together. So if folks who are interested could go and look at that and pick all the dates that they possibly could meet on the first that week of the 6th. And then we can set up a reoccurring meeting. So it's there in the notes. And then I also have started putting together a strategy plan. It's a very simple poll. It takes less than a minute, unless it takes you a long time to look at your calendar and compare it. And then, so take a look at that if you're interested in being part of this. I would love all the help that we can get. And then the other one, I started a marketing plan. And Matthew, I think you're the one clicking on it. If you can click on tasks for a second.
It's actually Josh, but yes.
Oh, Josh, can you click on tasks at the very top?
At the very top. Oh, tasks right there. Okay.
So I just put some placeholders in, and this is a good place for you to put your name under which areas of outreach you would like to. And this is not all of them. This is just, again, this was a lot of work put into putting this plan together. But whatever, I'm working on the tagline with the CNCF, and I'll share that in here. I'm working on mission, vision, values with them. If you're interested in interviewing people, let me know. Put your name underneath interviews. If you're interested in helping plan the webinars, let me know that. If you want to help with events, whether there are online events or in-person events, let me know so I can get you involved and invite you to those meetings. Folks who want to do blog posts, we don't want to require people to have to do a PR. If you're not living in GitHub and you're not familiar with how to do a PR, then we're going to have a process where you can just send us the Google Doc and we'll post it for you. So we're going to need folks who want to help, either write blog posts or go out and topics we come up with, go out and find somebody to write those. If you're wanting to help with the social media posts and stuff, let me know that. You want to help, I think that we should start in 2025 reporting monthly about our stats and our growth numbers and stuff. So again, this is an opportunity for folks who might not live in GitHub and you want to know how you can get involved and help. These are many non-code ways that you can do that. And if you're like, Amber, I want to help get involved in events, but I've never planned events. we'll help you. We'll teach you how to do that. If you want to, you know, I want to help lead webinars, or I want to do video interviews or that kind of stuff, we have somebody that will do all our video production for us and help us with this. So we can teach you how to do those things. So if that's something you're interested in, please, please, please sign up. Pick a date on the calendar. I really want as many people as possible helping with this. I just kind of want to help everybody learn. I don't want to necessarily be the face in front of it and doing it all. But I've put together a plan. Please feel free to comment on the plan. There's other links. There'll be more. I've still got to add a couple things like an ambassador program, like we talked about a couple weeks before. I got to add that plan, you know, things like that. So, and I've also updated the slides. So if you need slides, just let me know. I'll drop that link. I'll put it somewhere on these marketing docs. But you can see, just take a look at it, add your comments. And again, you might say, I'm new to community building and I'm new to marketing. That's fine. Come along. We'll teach you how to do it. So, you know, just wanted to make everybody aware. So between now and the first of the year, you can take a look, add your suggestions, and we can hit the ground running in January.
Cool.
That's great. I think this is fantastic. Do want to get to the last item here. Anything else on outreach?
Nope.
So, look, I think Valentina's experience with the community is very valuable. And I don't know if you're still here.
No, she said she had to leave a wee while ago.
Oh, that's too bad.
But I have been working with her, and she did write a message which said, yep, she said pretty much those 2 bullet points there, that she's closed a lot of PRs and that there's only one more page left. And that she asks people to reach out to her if you want to help out with improving the documentation on Slack to her, Valentina. Her name on Slack is Valentina. Where is it? Rodriguez Soares. And she also said, if you're new to the community and want to help out, please do.
Yeah, and this is a great news story because, I mean, she just joined the community this year and has been very excited and contributed a huge amount. So for those new people that are looking to come in, talking to Valentina about how you can get engaged and how, you know, what the feedback is, what the benefit is. I think that this is a good news story and perhaps super valuable to the community and to Valentina. Anything else? I guess we're over time. This is, I guess, the last meeting for the year, or go ahead, Matthew.
I was just saying, in the website things, there's 2 things that I suggested. One that Valentina might do. First is that I've seen a lot of media orgs using the wrong Kubeflow logo. One's from that thread where we were trying to make a logo. And so I've posted a message at the bottom of the thread saying, hey, those aren't actually the logo. Here's the latest one. But I think we should make a page on the website so that we dominate the Kubeflow logo Google search result. You know what I mean? That says, this is the logo, please use this one. So when media organizations publish about us, we don't have strange looking logos.
I think the CNCF maintains that. And
but
so
they don't come up on Google when you search. That's the big problem.
Right. So what we need to do is we did have a media file that linked to a repository. We probably need to update that and have a drop down like every other project has, that's specifically for media.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just a website page that called media package or something, you know. Yeah, like,
exactly.
And that's just so that we dominate the results. Yeah. So the problem is the formats of those other ones that are in that original 7 year ago repo aren't padded, so they're kind of hard to use. So the ones I posted are the ones that we use on the website, but as SVGs and PNGs. But we can just update that marketing. It's on the marketing materials repo if you're wondering, right. Kubeflow/marketing materials. But we can just link. We can update it and then link there from the website, or we can just put them on the website as a zip file. It's not a huge, deal.
Yeah, let's work on that.
And then other than that, Canonical did finally agree to let us rename the target distributions for their distribution. So I'll rebase that PR and I'll tag you, Josh, and you can see in the thread that they approved it. So hopefully someone with approver can approve that change.
That's great news.
What I'm talking about there, for everyone who doesn't know, is just that the wording of all certified distributions is quite confusing for end users in my experience. I interviewed a lot of them and no one could actually tell me what it meant. So we're renaming it to just multiple and then a reference which lists the distributions claimed supported distributions on their website.
Okay, so this is all great stuff. When is our next meeting?
Isn't it like the 7th?
I mean, technically it is next week, so we'd need to update the calendar if we... The problem with the calendar is that it's very hard to cancel specific meetings. And actually, this is another issue I've been having for a long time, which is if you try and cancel it, if you do happen to have write access on the calendar, please don't, because you'll get blocked from Gmail because you'll send 10,000 emails by trying to cancel it.
Yeah, I think we should just post that just like all the other working groups do, you send it out to Kubeflow discuss and you post it in Slack that there's no meeting until this date.
You know, I'm okay if folks want to show up on Christmas Eve day or whatever, but a topic that might be just do a single one topic. And I think trying to figure out what that new meeting format might not be a bad topic for that meeting. People that want to show up, I'll show up probably that day. So it would be nice to start to think about what next year kind of looks like. I think we're going to need to get a running start. So
Valentina did quickly join if she wants to say something. We already talked about your work. Good job.
Sorry, I have to, go to another meeting back. Great. Okay, thank you. I want to add something else. So the other things that are pending is we have kind of the same problem with the issues. We have more than 100, and right now there are not good first issues. So that will be kind of my next thing, to start looking into that. But the other thing that I'm doing, so if you want to contribute, if you're new, just reach out in the Slack or to me directly, whatever works for you. The other thing, I'm going over like learning more about each product, so learning about going through the technical documentation and creating some PRs in the modules to provide, from my perspective, more clarity on the instructions. So if someone wants to do the same thing and are passionate about one specific module and you're new and you are like, hey, you know what, I will take the documentation and see if I can understand it and apply it and all of that, just reach out as well. And also offer to help with the release documentation. And if anyone wants to contribute as well, please reach out. So thank you. Just wanted to provide those updates. And yeah, thank you so much for the time. Thanks.
Cool. I think I need to go soon, so probably other people do too.
Yep, I think we're done. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. So next meeting is on the 7th, I guess, then. That's what we're saying?
Next week is optional.
Sorry, next meeting,
As always.
but yes.
Next meeting is optional. Next week is optional, but the next full meeting will be the 7th.
So that's actually like 3 weeks away. But yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. See you.
Thanks, y'all.
Happy holidays.